Over the years, numerous criminal investigations have gone cold, leaving families and law enforcement officers searching for answers. However, thanks to advances in forensic technology, some of these cold cases were miraculously solved years or even decades later. From DNA breakthroughs to new investigative techniques, these cases highlight the resilience of those determined to uncover the truth. Here are the top 10 cold cases that were eventually cracked, offering a sense of justice for victims and their families. Number 10. The Karen Klaas case. In January 1976, Karen Klaas, the ex-wife of Righteous Brothers singer Bill Medley, was brutally attacked and strangled with her own pantyhose while returning home. The shocking nature of the crime sent waves of fear through her quiet community. Klaas was left in a coma and tragically died a few days later. Medley, devastated by the loss, took a break from his musical career and hired a private investigator to find the killer. Despite extensive efforts, the trail went cold for 40 years. In 2017, the case was reopened, and investigators used familial DNA to track down convicted felon Kenneth Troyer as the perpetrator. Troyer, who had been killed by police officers in 1982, was posthumously linked to the crime. This breakthrough marked the first time familial DNA was used to solve such a cold case, making it a significant milestone in forensic science. Though Troyer could not be brought to justice, the case's resolution gave closure to Klaas's family. Number 9. Colette Aram's abduction and murder. On the night before Halloween in 1983, British teenager Colette Aram was abducted while walking to her boyfriend's house. The next day, her body was discovered, and a police investigation ensued, involving extensive media coverage and public appeals for information. Despite over 400 calls from the public, the case went unsolved for decades. A mysterious letter, allegedly from the killer, added to the chilling nature of the crime. In 2008, a breakthrough came when John Paul Hutchinson was arrested on a separate charge, and a DNA test revealed a near-identical match to the killer's profile. Further investigation led to Hutchinson's father, Paul Hutchinson, who was eventually arrested and convicted for the murder. The case was resolved after 25 years, but the Aram family could only find solace in knowing the identity of the killer, even though it did little to ease the pain of their loss. Number 8. The Pima County Jane Doe. In 1982, hunters discovered a jacket hanging from a tree in Pima County, Arizona. Upon closer inspection, they found the body of a woman nearby, but she remained unidentified for many years. The case became known as Pima County Jane Doe, despite widespread efforts to solve the mystery, including a national missing persons campaign. The identity of the woman remained elusive. An autopsy revealed she had been strangled, but further leads were scarce. However, in 1995, John Kohlhauser, already serving time for the murder of his wife, was found to have a photograph that resembled the facial reconstruction of the Jane Doe. This photograph led to a breakthrough. The victim was identified as Brenda Jarrow, who had gone missing in 1980 after leaving with her boyfriend. Number 7. Adam Walsh's abduction. In 1981, 6-year-old Adam Walsh was abducted from a Sears store in Hollywood, Florida, while his mother was shopping. His body was discovered 2 weeks later in a canal, and the investigation initially pointed to Otis Toole, a partner of notorious serial killer Henry Lee Lucas. Toole confessed to Walsh's murder, but his history of false confessions led to doubts about the authenticity of his claim. Key pieces of evidence were also mislaid, which hampered the investigation. After years of dead ends, the case was officially closed in 2008 when police, using new forensic methods, concluded that Otis Toole was indeed the abductor and murderer of Adam Walsh. Toole's death in prison did little to provide closure, but the family could finally rest knowing the killer's identity. Number 6. Nova Welsh's murder. In July 1981, Nova Welsh went missing, leaving behind 2 young children. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived at one of Welsh's friends, claiming that she had been attacked and that the friend should look for her. Just days later, Welsh's body was found locked inside a cupboard in her home, and a wad of chewing gum was found securing the lock. The case remained cold for many years, with no clear suspects. In 2017, the case was re-examined and forensic testing on the gum, and the letter revealed that the DNA matched that of Welsh's ex-boyfriend, Osmond Bell. Investigators learned that Bell had killed Welsh out of jealousy after she began a new relationship. The letter had been a ploy to mislead her friends and authorities. Bell was arrested and convicted, bringing justice to Welsh's family after 36 years. Number 5. The Killer Clown Case. In 1990, Marlene Warren was shot at her front door in Wellington, Florida, by a clown who arrived in a white Chrysler LeBaron. Her son, Joe, briefly saw the clown and remembered details about the shooter's appearance. Early suspicions pointed toward Marlene's husband, Michael Warren, and his mistress, Sheila Keene. However, there was insufficient evidence to charge either of them at the time. In 2017, advancements in DNA testing allowed authorities to link Keene to the crime. Her hair was found in the getaway car, and traces of orange wig fibers were found on her shoes, which matched the clown's wig. DNA testing finally confirmed Keene's involvement, and she was arrested for Marlene's murder, nearly 3 decades after the crime. Keene, now known as Debbie, faced first-degree murder charges and could face the death penalty if convicted. Number 4. The Joseph Henry Loveless Case. In 1979, a family exploring an Idaho cave stumbled upon a burlap sack containing human remains. Over the years, additional body parts were discovered in the same cave, but the identity of the deceased person remained a mystery. Number 3. Crystal Baslanowicz's murder. In December 1995, the body of 17-year-old Crystal Baslanowicz was found near a river in Salt Lake City, Utah. She had been murdered, with bloodied rocks found nearby. Initially, the investigation turned cold due to a lack of leads. However, new forensic technology in 2007 helped authorities analyze DNA evidence found under Crystal's fingernails and on the rocks used in the murder. The DNA matched a man named Joseph Simpson, who was already in the police's sights. After trailing Simpson, investigators were able to confirm his involvement by collecting his DNA from a discarded cigarette. Simpson was arrested in 2013, 18 years after the crime, and was later convicted for the murder. This case showed how advancements in DNA analysis have helped bring criminals to justice, even after long periods of time. Number 2. The Peterson-Schustler Killings. In 1955, 3 boys, Robert Peterson and brothers John and Anton Schustler, were abducted in Chicago. 2 days later, their bodies were found in a ditch, but the case went cold for decades. It wasn't until the disappearance of Helen Brock in 1977 that new information surfaced. Investigators learned about Kenneth Hansen, who had boasted about his involvement in the boys' deaths. He was later connected to the crime through testimony from young men who had worked at his stables. In 2002, after years of investigation, Hansen was convicted for the murders. He had kidnapped the boys and taken them to his stables, where they were murdered. The case was resolved, bringing justice to the families after nearly half a century of uncertainty. Number 1. The Lloyd, Dwayne Bogle and Patricia Kalitsky case. In 1956, 2 bodies were discovered within a day of each other near a lover's lane in Wyoming. The victims, 18-year-old airman Dwayne Bogle and 16-year-old Patricia Kalitsky, had both been shot and left in the same location. The case went cold until 2019, when forensic genealogy led investigators to Kenneth Gold, a local man who had been living near the scene of the crime. DNA samples from Gold's children confirmed his involvement in the murders. Gold, who had passed away in 2007, was finally linked to the case after over 60 years. This investigation marked one of the oldest cold cases solved using DNA technology, providing closure to the victims' families. The case highlighted the power of forensic genealogy and its role in solving long-forgotten mysteries. Thank you for joining us as we explored these chilling cold cases that were finally solved after decades. If you found this video fascinating, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more true crime stories and mysterious cases from the past. Stay tuned for more, and we'll see you in the next video.